But just overall thoughts on today?
Well, it was good. I mean, it was long. We were out here for 130 plays. It's probably the longest first scrimmage, that we've had in fall camp, but we've had to sort a lot of things out. We got a lot of competition happening really at every position. The ebbs and flows. We talked this morning, the Cougs win that one. So I just love the responses. Really got to watch the film to see what the quarterbacks end up doing here, but I thought there was good things on both sides, and we needed a lot of live work today.
I know you were looking for some wide receivers to really separate themselves going into this scrimmage. Ganashamorthy came up with a big one. Also, the freshman Chris Barnes had quite a day here. What did you see from them out there?
Well, I think first and foremost, Chris Barnes will get every opportunity to get into the rotation as we go forward. I thought Chris Hudson continues to show that he can be an inside and outside player, and we need him to be a big-time playmaker. And, we're limited Kyle. We know what Kyle can do. When Kyle is going, though, we need Kyle to get 8 to 10 touches a game. I mean, it isn't just seeing what happens in the offense. I said BG in that team breakdown, he took the step from being a track athlete to finally being a football player, and I'm proud of that kid. It was really good to see.
All right, a little delayed, but still got to know the juice.
Juice, guys, there's quite a bit today. Coach Buckle gave it to BG, just a phenomenal scrimmage, and that kid keeps getting better. Coach Schmed gave it to Ansel. I think his consistency through the first 8 practices has been great. Coach Cal gave it to Ethan O'Connor. Obviously, you can see the big playmaking, but what he alluded to in that huddle was the kid has really matured. And he said in the spring he called him a fraud, and he's responded every step of the way, and just really cool to see. I gave it to Jackson Potter. I think Jackson has gone from just being a guy to being ultra competitive and doing really good things. And then the ultra juice today went to Josh Joyner. That man came in here and balled out today and was just excited to see.
I want to ask about Jackson in particular. By my count, he doesn't have a pick in fall camp. I don't want to jinx him, but it just seems like he has really worked on his precision and his decision making.
We talked about his staff out personnel yesterday, and we had a long conversation about Jackson, not taking a back seat to anybody. And while we talked a lot about Zevi and about John, him to say, hey, I want to go out and compete and get better. So I think he's done a really good job with that. He hasn't thrown a pick. He's gotten better and better every single day, and just really proud of the work he put in today.
What's your biggest takeaway moving forward that you saw today? What's your biggest takeaway from what you saw today moving forward?
We got to get better. And that's a really fun thing to say. We need to execute. We need to be cleaner, physical, tackling. There's just so many things to improve on. But where we're at today is the truth of our coaching. It's the truth of our playmakers. It's the truth of where Cougs football is 3 weeks out. But right now we still got 3 weeks to grow and get better, and that's what I'm excited about the most. Monday's practice needs to be intense. We get a night practice on Wednesday. We get so much situational things. We got a long way to go to be game ready, but we took a really good step today. I think we're in a great place.
What were your overall thoughts of the one defense today? I saw, Steve and Jackson both came up with picks, but just overall looking at that group in particular.
Biggest thing is communication. And I'm talking about defense overall. Maybe it's not just the ones, it's kind of the day in particular. Defense to me is if you're aligned right and you're looked at the right thing, you have a shot. But sometimes we don't communicate enough, and then you see big busts down the sideline. You see things that are happening that we can't have to be successful. So the communication aspect of it, just coming from a defensive lens, has to be really elevated as we go through these next 3 weeks. And part of that is getting Boogie back, but part of that is just a young group of guys that need to solidify. Right? And once the ball's kicked off in 3 weeks, that's not an excuse. To be young is not an excuse. These guys got to be ready for the challenge, and I think we got to make big strides there over the next few weeks.
And then there's quite a bit of laundry on the field today. Is that something just the beginning of fall camp, and then when you go look at the film, then you'll iron some of that out?
Well, heck yeah. I mean, I think it's good to have refs at these scrimmages and these practices. One thing I do want guys to understand is mistakes will happen throughout the course of the play. Play fast, play aggressive. Let a lot of those things go. Those will be big learning moments, and we need more of that as we continue to go. And, pass interference, we got to learn from those. Holdings, we got to learn from those. Delay of games after penalties can't happen, right? So the quarterbacks need to learn a lot of those things, and we need to get better as coaches.
What'd you make of the running back play today? Did any of those guys kind of stand out?
I felt like we started off, really good, but it still seems like we're in that mode where we get 5 to 8 or we get 0 to negative, right? And there's not enough of those 3-4 yard churners and staying ahead of the chain. So we got to see what that is. Once again, that's never just a running back. I thought Leo's creativity continues to show, but I got to see the other guys, really through the course of the film.
I was curious about two guys being out. Kyle Maxwell missing his, I want to say third straight, and then curious about him, and then if there's any update on Lely as well.
Lely has another kind of knee test here in a week or so that would really embrace him for contact. We expect him to pass that and kind of work him from there. Kyle just had a groin injury from the spring flare-up, and he should be full strength on Monday.
What are your thoughts on the return game? We saw Freeman take one and everybody else.
Well, I think Freeman, now even through the spring and through fall camp here has been really phenomenal. I think he's electric, make good decisions. I wanted to see him get hit in a close capacity to see if he can hang on to the ball. That was live situation there, so he's answered the bell and made some big plays in the return game.
What did you see from John and Zevi in the huddle and communicating with their teammates?
Well, I think some positive stuff. I saw Zevi after that pick go up and down the sideline, kind of rallying the guys around him, and I think that's very important. I think John played off script very well today. We didn't run him, just as a design QB run. I want to see him throw and operate. So I thought a lot of positives. I'm ready for that guy to take the reins. We will name a starter a week from today.
Just kind of building off Greg's question he asked about Kyle and Lely. Just anything quick on Boogie?
Boogie is it's a soft tissue hamstring thing, but his isn't too bad. So I think middle of the week we'll start getting him back into Indy, and hopefully this time next week see him doing a bunch of things. All right, guys, thank you. Go Cougs.